Marry me.
The sun does not rise gently in Accra. No, it bursts into the sky like a command, a burning eye that says to the city, wake up, move, survive. And so the city wakes, with the smell of roasted plantain drifting through the air, with diesel fumes hanging low like a stubborn memory, with footsteps, horns, shouts, prayers. In the middle of all this lived a young woman named Amara. To the passing eye, she was nothing special, just another face in the crowd. A faded beige dress, sandals worn thin by too many journeys. Her hair wrapped neatly in a blue cloth, simple and modest. But if you looked closer, if you truly looked, you would see her eyes. Eyes that carried blueprints. Eyes that imagined towers where others saw broken roofs. Eyes that dreamed beyond concrete and dust. Amara was an architect without a building, a dreamer with empty pockets. She lived in a single room in a compound that smelled of damp earth and old wood. Every morning, before the rooster finished its cry, Amara was already awake. On her small wooden table, rickety, uneven, sat her most precious possession, a file. Not leather, not expensive, just paper, edges worn, corners bent. Inside it lived her soul. Drawings, plans, ideas sketched late into the night by candlelight. On this particular Tuesday, the air felt different, heavy, as if destiny itself was holding its breath. Amara stood before her cracked mirror, smoothing her dress. It was clean, pressed carefully with an iron heated by glowing coals, but the fraying threads could not be hidden. She stared at her reflection for a long moment. Then she spoke, softly. "It is not the cloth that makes the woman," she said. "It is the spirit within." Today was the day. Titan Group. The gods of the city's skyline, the ones who decided whose dreams lived and whose dreams died quietly. She adjusted her blue head wrap. No gold, no perfume, no disguise. Only her mind and her file. She stepped outside. The heat wrapped around her immediately. Trotros honked their broken music, market women shouting prices with voices sharpened by survival. The pavement shimmered under the sun. Amara walked. She had saved exactly enough for one bus ride and lunch, nothing more, nothing extra. With every step, her heart prayed. "Let them see me," she whispered to her ancestors. "Do not let them see my shoes. Let them see my work." The bus stop was crowded. Men in sweat-darkened shirts, women balancing trays of bread like crowns upon their heads. Amara found a small space near the curb and hugged her file to her chest as if it could protect her. The road before them was wounded. A deep pothole sat near the curb filled with thick brown water from the night's rain. It waited, patient, hungry. Cars passed, old Toyotas, battered trucks, tired engines coughing their way through life. Then a different sound, low, smooth, powerful. A purr that spoke of money. Down the road came a black Mercedes-Benz, polished so perfectly it reflected the city without touching it. Inside sat Kofi, a man who believed the world was built for his comfort. Young, handsome in a cold, sculpted way. A grey suit that cost more than Amara's rent for years. Music playing softly, confidence resting easily on his shoulders. He saw the crowd, the bus stop, the pothole, and Amara. A kind man would slow down, a thoughtful man would swerve, but Kofi was neither. He was late, and he believed he mattered more. His foot stayed on the accelerator. The car hit the water, and time slowed. The splash rose like a dark wave, heavy, unforgiving. Amara turned, but not fast enough. The mud struck her. Cold, gritty, merciless. It soaked her dress, splattered her neck, stained everything she had prepared so carefully. The Mercedes screeched to a stop ahead. Amara looked at herself. "No," she whispered. "Not today." The window rolled down. Kofi leaned out. Not with concern, not with regret, with annoyance. Hey, he barked. Watch where you're walking. "You hit the water," Amara said, her voice shaking. Kofi laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "I'm on the road, you're in the gutter, know your place." His eyes dragged over her like an insult. "Look at you, and you think you're going somewhere important, dressed like that?" He adjusted his watch. "Go home, you are out of your league. The city is for the strong." The window went up. The car drove away, and Amara stood there, mud-soaked, burning with shame, the quiet laughter of strangers cutting deeper than the insult itself. She did not move. The mud clung to her skin. Her heart shrank. For a moment, just a moment, she wanted to disappear. "Out of your league," the voice echoed. She turned and caught her reflection in a shop window. A mess. A girl pretending to be something she wasn't. Then her fingers touched the file. The paper was damp at the edge, but the drawings inside were safe. She remembered her father's bent back, her mother selling peppers under the sun. Her chin lifted. "He does not know me," she whispered. "He does not know my fight." She walked into a petrol station bathroom. The smell of bleach and neglect filled the air. She scrubbed and scrubbed. The stains would not leave. But her resolve did not break. "I look like a survivor," she said quietly. She missed the bus. So she walked. 2 miles, under fire-hot sun, sweat, dust, determination. When the glass tower of Titan Group finally rose before her, fear trembled in her chest. She pushed the doors open. Cool air, polished floors, expensive silence. "I'm here for the interview," she said. "Amara Mensah." The receptionist hesitated. 4th floor. The waiting room swallowed her. Leather chairs, sharp suits, sideways glances. Then a door opened. A man stepped out. "Too easy," he said. Amara froze. "Kofi." "You," he laughed, "the swamp rat." Snickers followed. "I am here for the senior architect position," Amara said calmly. Before he could reply, a woman called her name. Amara walked past him. Inside the room sat 3 people, and in the center, Kofi. He leaned back, smiling. "Well," he said, "this will be entertaining. Sit down." And for the first time in his life, the lion sat before a woman who was not afraid. The air inside the boardroom was not just cold. It was breathless. The kind of silence that gathers before a storm breaks, heavy, waiting. Amara sat in the wooden chair. It was smooth, too smooth. The polish made her feel as if she might slide right out of it. Before her stretched the long mahogany table, wide, dark, unforgiving. On one side sat Miss Ntaka, her glasses sharp, her posture sharper. On the other, Mr. Aban, older, gentler, his eyes carrying the weight of many years. And in the center sat Kofi. He did not look at Amara's face. He did not look at her file. He looked only at the mud, the dried stain on her chest. He turned slowly in his chair. The leather squeaked, again and again. "So," he said at last, his voice smooth as oil poured over stone. "So, this is where we are now?" A pause. "Titan Group is searching for visionaries, and the cat drags in," he gestured lazily, "a laundry accident." His laughter cut the air short. "Tell me, Amara," he continued, leaning forward, "did you confuse this office for a cleaning service? How can you draw clean lines when you cannot even keep your dress clean?" Miss Ntaka shifted. "Mr. Kofi, perhaps we should focus on—" "No," he snapped. "Appearance is discipline. If she cannot respect herself, how will she respect our client millions?" The words hit hard. Amara felt heat rise in her chest. Not shame, anger, hot, focused, alive. She looked down at the stain, dry now, cracked like the city's broken roads, a map of her morning suffering. She breathed in, leather, lemon polish, power. Then she lifted her eyes. They did not tremble. "You are right, sir," Amara said quietly. Her voice did not shout. It did not beg, but it reached every corner of the room. "My dress is stained." A pause. "The city threw its worst at me this morning. Broken roads, poor drainage. A car, much like the one you drive, splashed Accra's reality onto my body." Kofi rolled his eyes, but Amara was no longer speaking to him. She was speaking to truth. "A building," she continued, her voice steady now, "is not judged by the scaffolding around it during construction. It is judged by its foundation." She rested her hand on her file. "A building must stand in the rain. It must stand in the mud. It must stand when the wind tries to tear it apart." She slid the folder onto the table. "You see dirt," she said softly. "I see the problem." A pause. "And inside this file," her fingers opened it, "is the solution." The sound of paper unfolding filled the room like thunder. Miss Ntaka leaned forward, slowly. She adjusted her glasses and looked at the first page. Her breath caught. It was the market, the same market Amara had walked through that morning, but transformed. Chaos turned into order. Crowds lifted onto elevated walkways, drainage hidden beneath beauty, water flowing where mud once pooled. Mr. Aban leaned closer. "The ventilation," he murmured. "Look at how she harnessed the wind." Page after page turned. Locally sourced laterite stone, solar shading woven in traditional patterns, modern design with ancestral wisdom. "This is sustainable," Miss Ntaka whispered. "Affordable, elegant." The room went silent. No laughter, no mockery, only the soft swish, swish of turning pages. Kofi stopped spinning his pen. He looked at their faces. The light in their eyes frightened him. This was not politeness. This was recognition. Jealousy tightened inside him like a knot pulled too fast. "This is childish," he said suddenly, forcing a snare. "Bamboo? Laterite? We are building a modern city, not village huts." A voice answered him, deep, measured. "It is not backward." The room froze. "It is timeless." Everyone turned. At the doorway stood the chairman, Kofi's father, a mountain of a man, hair white like cotton, an ebony cane in his hand. He had been listening. Tap, tap, tap. His cane marked the floor as he approached. He studied the drawings. Then he looked at Amara, her stained dress, her lifted chin. "Who drove the car?" he asked calmly. Amara blinked. "Sir?" "The car that splashed you," he said, turning slowly to his son. "Who was driving it?" Kofi said nothing. He did not need to. The guilt sat on his face like an open wound. "To build for the people," the chairman said, "one must understand the struggle of the people." He closed the file gently. "My son saw mud and laughed." He turned back to Amara. "You saw mud and designed a bridge." A pause. "You are hired." Victory did not arrive with trumpets. It arrived as breath. A long, deep exhale. Amara stepped out of the glass tower as the sun dipped low, painting the sky purple and gold. The heat wrapped around her again, but it felt different now, not oppressive, familiar. She did not take a taxi. She walked. She passed the bus stop. The puddles still waited there, dark, ugly. Amara smiled. One day, she thought, "I will fix you." Back inside the tower, the air had shifted. Kofi stood in his father's office, staring at the floor. "You have forgotten who you are," the chairman said quietly. "Money makes a bank. Character makes a king. You are removed from the hiring committee," he continued, "and tomorrow you move to the 3rd floor. Kofi's head snapped up. Under the new senior architect. That night, Amara folded the stained dress carefully. She would keep it, a scar, a reminder. As she lay listening to the crickets, no feast awaited her, but her heart was full. Tomorrow, the building would begin. 6 months passed. Not loudly, not suddenly. Time moved the way it always does, one sunrise folding gently into the next. The harmattan came and went, the rains returned, and with them, change. At dawn, the construction site awoke before the city fully stirred. Metal clanged against metal, engines coughed themselves alive, dust rose into the air like a second sky, and in the middle of it all stood Amara. She wore a hard hat now, steel-toed boots, a crisp shirt rolled at the sleeves. Her beige dress was gone, but the woman who had worn it, she remained. Amara moved through the site with quiet authority. She spoke softly, but people listened. Shift the beam slightly. Check the angle again. The sun will hit this wall harder in the afternoon. The workers respected her, not because of her title, but because she knew. They watched her crouch in the dirt, tracing lines with her fingers. They saw her stay late, long after the sun slipped away. They saw her remember names. This building, once lines on paper, now rose from the earth. Concrete and steel answered her call. And sometimes, when the dust settled just enough, Amara would look up at the structure and smile. This was not just a building. This was proof. From behind glass walls high above, Kofi watched. His office was smaller now. 3rd floor. No view of the horizon. Only the site. Every day he saw her. Saw the way people greeted her, the way workers laughed in her presence, the way problems seemed to soften when she arrived. They respected her. They merely tolerated him. The realization gnawed at him. He had everything money could buy. Degrees framed on the wall, a famous name, but none of it earned him what she commanded effortlessly: respect. He remembered the mud, the laughter, the words he had thrown like stones. At night, sleep avoided him. The city lights flickered outside his window, and for the first time in his life, he felt small. Money could not erase that feeling. For the first time, Kofi wanted to be better, not richer, better. It was during a long afternoon site meeting that Kwame entered Amara's story. He was tall, broad-shouldered, quiet, an engineer, a man whose strength showed not in noise but in steadiness. He listened more than he spoke. When Amara struggled with a complex load calculation, Kwame leaned over the blueprint. "Try redistributing the weight here," he said gently. It worked. When Amara skipped lunch, Kwame appeared with food wrapped in brown paper. "Eat," he said simply. "You can't pour from an empty cup." They worked late together, side by side. No competition, no performance. He asked about her ideas. He listened when she spoke of her parents. He never once mentioned the dress or the mud. With Kwame, Amara felt seen, not admired from a distance, not judged, just seen. And slowly, like the seasons shift without announcement, something warm took root between them, something patient, something real. From the glass office above, Kofi saw this too, and the regret in his chest deepened, because now he understood. Some opportunities return, others pass and never look back. When a man has never lacked anything, he often believes he can fix everything with money. Kofi believed this too. On a bright Saturday evening, he arrived at Titan Group in a car that shone like a promise. He carried a leather bag that smelled of newness and wealth. Inside it were gifts: a watch, gold, heavy, expensive. A designer bag, soft, flawless, admired by many. He waited for Amara in the lobby. When she appeared, he stood quickly. "Amara," he said, forcing a smile, "I just wanted to talk." They sat. He pushed the gifts toward her. "I was blind before," he said. "I see you now. I see your value." Amara looked at the gifts. Then she pushed them back. "You cannot buy," she said calmly, "what you tried to destroy." The words landed softly, but they cut deep. Kofi swallowed. That night, he tried again, this time with spectacle. A fine restaurant, crystal glasses, soft music curling through the air. People watched as he stood. He spoke loudly of regret, of love, of change. Then he knelt.
"Marry me."
The room held its breath. Amara rose slowly. She helped him to his feet. "You hurt me when you had power," she said gently, "and now you ask for love as if it is owed." She shook her head. "I forgive you, but I do not choose you." She walked away, and for the first time, Kofi understood. Some doors close not in anger, but in wisdom. Spilled across the city. The buildings glowed as if remembering their purpose. Amara leaned on the railing. Kwame stood beside her. They did not rush the moment. When he spoke, his voice was steady. "I have no gifts," he said. "No speeches." He turned to her. "I only have myself, and the promise to walk with you." A pause. "Will you?" Amara looked at him, at the city, at the future stretching open like a road. "Yes," she said. That was all, and it was enough. Years later, people would walk through that neighborhood. They would not know the story. They would admire the beauty, the flow, the way the city breathed easier there. They would not know about the mud, or the dress, or the girl who refused to disappear. But the earth remembered. And sometimes, when the evening light touched the buildings just right, Amara and Kwame would walk hand in hand, not ahead of the world, not behind it, but beside it. And Kofi learned what no school had taught him, that humility is not losing, it is becoming. That love is not claimed, it is chosen. And that the strongest foundations are built not on wealth, but on character.